Okay, I'm going to duplicate this slide, hopefully. Duplicate the slide because I want to take one or two things off it. So I'm going to take this information off, and I want to take this off. Just leave me with the table and Ann Smith 15. Now, I've just talked in the last video about data types, and really this should be, if I was thinking about it carefully, in my data type I should have a varchar and a varchar and an integer. And to be 100% correct, let's just make that 40 and 25. That's what it should look like. However, this is called a result set. Okay, and it comes back as an array. And the special thing about arrays, if you paid attention to any of the earlier videos, is that an array must all be the same type. This is okay as a list in Python and will work in Python. However, the exam board aren't going to give you this as Python, they're going to give it you as an array. So all of these are going to be varchars, including that last one. I don't know, 10 will do. Or, because we're in a program, they won't call them varchars, they will call them strings. So that will be a string, that will be a string, and that will be a string as a result set. Now, we don't really need to worry too much about these data types. The only thing they might do in the exam is say that if the database was had the integer 15 and we've got a string, you might be asked to cast that from a string to an integer in your program. Highly, highly unlikely. What is likely is that this might be a nice place to test your knowledge of arrays. So I'm going to take the word result set out on this, and it might ask you for the index of the first name of the person in the result set. So if I can just do that, so we need to assign that to a variable. Result is equal to that, and then Ann would be at result 0, and Smith would be at result 1, because we've now got an array and they're 0 based, and 15 would be at result 2. So that's the way of reading those values in a program. The last thing I'm going to point out is, let's say that the query was, let's write a query. Select star from person where age equals 15. Then I'm going to have two, well, first of all, let's look at them. I'm going to have Joe blogs, whoops, 14 I wanted, not 15. I'm going to have Joe blogs, who was 14, and I'm going to copy that. I'm going to have, I'm running out of screen space, let's see if I can get it. It's better. I'm going to have Clive Jones, who was also 14. Now that's my result set. I've got two records, so each one of these is a record. That's a record, that's a record. The records themselves are arrays, and the result set itself will be in an array. So in other words, I have now got a 2D array. So if I was to try and access any of these items, I would need to register them as a 2D sort of version of what I've got here. So what I'm saying is that if I wanted to get the word Joe from there, I would need to say that was at result in the first item, that's 0, so we're looking at this array here, and then it would be at the 0th item in that array. If I wanted to get the word blogs, I'd still be in the first one, the 0 item in there, but I would need to change the second one to a 1 to get blogs. If I wanted to get the value 14 from either of them, I could either do that from 0, 2, which would give me that value there, or I could do 1, 2, which the 1 is this record, and that's at 0, 1, 2. So this is a way of testing your knowledge of 2D arrays. So I could stick up 1 and 0, so that's 0, oops, 0, 1, so I'm in this array here, and I'm looking at 0. So that would give me the value Clive. If I change that for 1, 1, that would give me the value Jones. And again, 1, 2 would give me the value 14. Any numbers outside that range, so if I did 3, that's going to give me an error. And if I did 3, that is also going to give me an error because they don't exist. So they could, and I would find it highly unlikely if they did that, but to test your knowledge of 2D arrays, I would do a query which returns 2 results, assign it to a variable because it's in a program, not in a database, and then use the 2-dimensional indexing into your arrays to find whatever value you're looking for. So if I said this, what is that result 0, 1, 0, whoops, 0, 1, the answer would be blogs. Something to look out for. It's really, I would find that a really tough question if that appeared in the exam, but something similar, maybe just a single array in the result set might be there. A 2D array is possible, but I would think unlikely if you got it. Last, before we go, let's take a look at what we needed to learn on the structured query language. This is from the specification. We needed to see select, which we have, from, like, where, like, and an or, and wildcards. Be familiar with the use of the star and the percent sign, and we've also seen the third one, which was the single letter, being the underscore. So that is everything we need to know about SQL and how it's used.